Uncle Mo's Gold. They're joined at the rail by Tribal, who's hustled up just behind the top pair. Middleburg is fourth in the early going, and Omi Island outside of him. American Glory is 6 lengths off the lead. Buchdahl is next. Rostovsky is outside of him, and Fausto trails. Into the first turn, and Tribal has been motivated to come through on the inside of Uncle Mo's Gold. Uncle Mo's Gold does maintain the lead. Goodfella 3 off the pace in third. Middleburg is at the rail. Omi Island is 4 off the pace. 2 more back to American Glory, who inches up a length and a half back to Buchdahl. Fausto is to his inside. Rostovsky 3 wide and last. Uncle Mo's Gold with a half mile to go leads by 2 over Tribal. Another length back comes Middleburg in third. Then Goodfella now 5 lengths off the lead at the rail, American Glory. It's 2 more lengths to Omi Island. Fausto, between those two, Buchdahl has plenty of work to do, and Rostovsky at the back. They're coming to the quarter pole. Uncle Mo's Gold has come through to challenge Tribal, who went off the rail. American Glory is in the thick of it, as is Middleburg. Those 2 grays go on at the top of the stretch. American Glory and Middleburg are head and head with a furlong left to go. 2 more lengths. Buchdahl has surfaced with his run. Coming toward the 16th. Middleburg at the rail and American Glory. Buchdahl is closing at the top pair and coming fast late. Here's Buchdahl on the outside. What a performance out of Buchdahl, who wins and gets wrapped up as an exclamation point. Photo for second between American Glory and Middleburg, and fourth to a fast finishing Rostovsky. Mastermind. All set. And they're off. Stop and a Trey is going out for the lead, immediately joined by Mastermind. And Mastermind sprints up, wants the lead, and takes it into the first turn. Stop and a Trey now second. Zimbo Warrior is third on the outside of Tembo, who's down at the rail, 4 lengths off the lead. The trailer is Granada Flavor. They're coming to the 6 furlong pole, and it's Giovanni Franco and Mastermind controlling things up top. Leads it by 2. As Zimbo Warrior moves clearly into second, and down at the rails, Stop and a Trey now third. Then Tembo and Granada Flavor. Coming to the 5/8 pole, Mastermind cruising along, a length in front. Zimbo Warriors trying to work to stay closer in second. Then comes Stop and a Trey along the rail, followed by Granada Flavor, 3 lengths off the lead, inching up on the outside. And Tembo is at the back. They're a half mile from home, and Mastermind bounding along with a 2-length lead. Fresu has been all over Zimbo Warrior from the moment the gate opened. But despite that, the lead for Mastermind is increasing with every stride. Mastermind sails past the 3/8 pole, almost 4 lengths in front. Zimba Warrior, Granada Flavor takes second. Stop and a Trey is down at the rail, and Tembo. They're a quarter of a mile from home, and Mastermind to catch. Stop and a Trey now moves nicely into second to take up the chase. Mastermind, Stop and a Trey come to the 8th pole, 1-2. Zimba Warrior in third. Granada Flavor flattens out. They're coming to the 16th. Mastermind, Stop and a Trey. Stop and a Trey on the outside comes to Mastermind and rolls right by him. Stop and a Trey wins easily. Mastermind settles for second. Granada Flavor third in front of Zimba Warrior. They're in the gate, and they're off. Sweet Laker and Fly Me to the Moon, baby, both out quickly. They're joined by Topolina coming through, and Topolina's quicker than all. Corporal Violet moves to take second, and now Champagne Cami at the rail in third. 3 more lengths to Sweet Laker. Fly Me to the Moon, baby, is just outside of her, and 2 more to Big Hopes. It's Topolina coming to the half-mile pole, leading the way by a half a length. pressed by Corporal Violet in second. At the rails, Champagne Cami in the thick of it. On horse's heels in third, very eager at this stage. And Sweet Laker is in between horses. There's room for Big Hopes, one from the outside, and Fly Me to the Moon, Baby. Topolina speeds to the quarter pole, 3/4 of a length in front of Corporal Violet in second. Champagne Cami, white blinkers at the rail. Big Hopes on the far outside, and Sweet Laker angles out for the drive. There's room for Champagne Cami, takes full advantage as Topolina has bowed out Corporal Violet and Champagne Cami. Champagne Cami and Juan Hernandez opening up late. It's Champagne Cami to win it by 3 lengths. Corporal Violet holds second in front of Sweet Laker and Big Hopes. Sun moving around. And they're off. Clean start. Soul of Midnight in the center of the track is the quickest. Man Overboard comes away in second. They're followed by Elector. Erebus is racing in fourth. Down the back stretch, and it's Soul of Midnight, and now Elector comes through on the inside to challenge and take the lead away from him, with Man Overboard a length and a half off the leaders in third. American Cat is racing on the inside of Erebus between rivals, and Crowning Gold 4 lengths off the lead. Recipsa Locatur is second to last, and Rogue Sun, the back of a fairly compact group, 7 lengths front to back, 3 furlongs to run, and it is Elector leading the way. A half length in front of Soul of Midnight, who's asked to keep pace second. Man Overboard outside of that pair, a length and a half off the lead in third, then American Cat, and Crowning Gold is in fifth, followed by Rogue Sun down at the rail. Soul of Midnight with the white blinkers in charge at the top of the stretch, opens up 2 lengths now. Man Overboard chasing from second. Rogue Sun is making headway in between horses late. Outside comes American Cat, a 16th to go. Soul of Midnight, Rogue Sun along the rail, and American Cat continues to make headway, but it's Soul of Midnight. Soul of Midnight wins by a length and a half. American Cat was an honest second in front of Rogue Sun. Man Overboard. Elector completes the super high 5. Right up to the gate is Bartoldi. They're in the gate. And they're off. Sir Maximus bounced out. One-time mark, has good speed, in suspense. Joins them in the center of the course, and Bartoldi comes away in fourth. Big Juanito is an absolute handful. Wrangled back by Tyler Bays as Nuclear goes by him. Cieno has made it over to the rail. Niti second to last, and Joy Rider at the back of the field. In suspense will set the pace. One-time mark in the red. On the outside of them comes Bartoldi, and saving ground Sir Maximus, a joint second as they come past the 6 furlong pole. Then Nuclear mid-pack, 5 lengths off the lead. Big Juanito. Cieno moves up easily inside of that pair. A gap of 4 to Joy Rider. And then it's Niti at the back of the field. Down the back stretch. And it is in suspense. Carving out the fractions. One-time mark, perfect trip. Second, Sir Maximus rides the rail in third. Bartoldi. Big Juanito is deep on the course, but only 4 lengths off the lead. He's been wanting to go for some time, and he's let loose now. They're followed by Cieno racing on the inside of Nuclear. Niti and Joy Rider has trailed most of the way. Around the far turn, in suspense, still there. Has it by 2 to one-time mark in second. Bartoldi puts his head right into third. Big Juanito flattening out a bit. Cieno looking for a spot, finding a nice seam, and moving up in between horses as the field turns for home. In suspense, 3-length lead. Cieno comes through on the inside of one-time mark. They're in the final furlong. In suspense, clinging to the lead. Cieno is going to take a late crack, and it's a good one, too. Here's Cieno, traveling well throughout, runs right by in suspense in the shadow of the wire. One-time mark might have nabbed second. In suspense in that place photo. Behind them, it was Bartoldi and another photo. And one thing to keep in mind, Joy Rider was picking it up nicely late. Big City Lights. In the gate. And they're off in the triple bend. Tahoe Sunrise and Happy Jack go out to battle it early, and Big City Lights is close up as well. Comebacker Dr. Venkman is at the back of a very compact group. 2.5 lengths covers them. It's Tahoe Sunrise ahead at the rail. Happy Jack going with him. They're on even terms with Big City Lights on hold 3 deep. Dr. Venkman is eager to get after this group. He's on the inside, 2 lengths off Happy Jack, who heads to the half-mile pole. In front by a half a length now over Tahoe Sunrise in second. Big City Lights covers up Dr. Venkman. Into the far turn. Edwin Maldonado and Happy Jack holding the lead over Tahoe Sunrise. Big City Lights has been just outside of them. And Dr. Venkman awaits racing room on the inside. He's got some run. He's 2 lengths off the lead with 1/4 mile to go. And it's Happy Jack in front. Dr. Venkman is called on now along the inside of Tahoe Sunrise. Big City Lights outside of them. Happy Jack means business. He sprints clear coming to the 8th pole. Has a 3-length lead while hugging the rail. Dr. Venkman and Big City Lights are second and third, and no match for Happy Jack, who ran them off their feet, streaking home, romping home, in fact, over 5 lengths for Happy Jack. He takes the triple bend in style. Dr. Venkman and Big City Lights. Shiloh's Mistress will be the last one to load. And they're off in the honeymoon. Sea Dancer came out very nicely, as did Faith Understood, who's second in the opening furlong. Visually in the center of the course is moving up, as is Shiloh's Mistress. And so by the stands, the first time, it's Sea Dancer in front of Visually, and Shiloh's Mistress is now racing in third. It's another 3 back to Circle of Trust, taking fourth. Faith Understood, Relax Now, racing 2 lengths in front of Pink Whitney, who's on the outside of Sakura Blossom. It's Sea Dancer and Jeremy Laprida dictating terms, opening up 3 lengths. Visually is second, and neck in front of Shiloh's Mistress in third, and then Circle of Trust, well spotted fourth, 6 lengths off the pacemaker. Another 2 to Faith Understood, inside Pink Whitney, and 2 to Sakura Blossom. Down the back stretch in the honeymoon, Sea Dancer, left alone on the front end, has a 3-length cushion on Visually. Outside of them, Shiloh's Mistress biding her time in third. Circle of Trust is joined by Pink Whitney, who's made an early bid up to take that 4th spot on the outside of Circle of Trust now. Down at the rail, Faith Understood is inching up. She'll need to find some racing room, and Sakura Blossom has trailed throughout. Sea Dancer comes to the quarter pole with a 1.5 lengths advantage. Shiloh's Mistress between, Pink Whitney on the outside. At the rail, Visually is in fourth. Circle of Trust is angling, has to go 4 wide, but has a clear shot as they straighten for home. Circle of Trust is coming flying down the center of the course. Sea Dancer, 1 from the rail. On the outside of them, Sakura Blossom has surfaced late. It's Circle of Trust. Sakura Blossom moves into second. Circle of Trust, another outstanding ride from Antonio Fresu to take the honeymoon. Sakura Blossom was second. Faith Understood in front of Pink Whitney. It's time for the 8th in 25 minutes. It starts the golden hour, pick 4. They're in the gate. And they're off. Cody Boy stumbled badly and is next to last. Last Call Paul is very quick, so is Tequila Talkin', and Coach Cronin in between's a little faster than both, so it's Coach Cronin in front, joined by SY Dream. War on the West is just outside of that pair. Tequila Talkin' now fourth. Last Call Paul is fifth. Artist Point down at the rail, 3 lengths off the lead. It's a gap of 5 to Big Baby, who's hard-ridden through the opening furlongs. Passed by Pay Tribute. Crown Prosecutor is outside of them, and Cody Boy is last. 3/8 of a mile to go. go, and it's Coach Cronin leading the way. War on the West is in second, followed at the rail by Artist Point, Tequila Talk in between horses, and on the outside of them, Last Call Paul makes a bid in the purple colors. War on the West has now dropped right out of it. Pay Tribute is next there at the top of the stretch. Coach Cronin the leader, Artist Point trying to come through along the inside. Outside of them, Tequila Talkin is fighting on. 2 lengths clear of Last Call Paul. Coach Cronin with a 16th to go is home free. It's Coach Cronin and Armando Ayuso completely outclassing them. Wins by 5. Second goes to Tequila Talkin in front of Artist Point. Last Call Paul was next. And then it's a photo between Big Baby and Cody Boy to complete the super high five. In the gate, $54 in the is up. Naughty Nadine, the colors of Charles and Gordon, are all in line. And they're off. Rugelach in the center of the course. Belle Cherie has early speed and takes the lead. And just behind them, it's Jamie's Inheritance in the red colors taking third. 16 Arches is next. On the rail, it's Big Summer. And a 4-wide Real Fire moves into the first turn, 4 lengths off the leader. That group is followed by Pastiche, who is in mid-pack right next to Naughty Nadine. Outside of them, Real Fire is now passing some horses all the way up to take the third spot. At the back of the field are Carol Lombard, Big Mama Sue is second to last, and Mahina is at the back of the field. They straighten up for the run down the backstretch, and it's Belle Cherie and Rugelach ahead back second. 2 more to Real Fire in the clear while third, followed by Jamie's Inheritance, and 16 Arches is down at the rail in fifth, 4 lengths off the lead. Pastiche is next. Naughty Nadine, Big Summer inside of that group. Carol Lombard is 3 wide. Mahina is out of last, living Big Mama Sue at the back of the field. Around the far turn, Belle Cherie and Rugelach are joined 3 wide by Real Fire. And Real Fire and Rugelach go on with it now. Just behind them, 16 Arches lurking in fourth, angling to the outside for the drive as Real Fire is up to take the lead in the center of the course with a furlong left to go. 16 Arches has to go inside of her in second. Mahina is picking up some momentum in between horses. A 16th to go, and it's Real Fire and Jeremy Laprida dominant. Real Fire winning it by 3. That's 2 for Laprida. Second went to Mahina. It's a tight photograph for third between Pastiche and 16 Arches, and it was close for fifth as well. A couple of those involved were Big Summer and Rugelach. That's 2 for Jeremy Laprida. This is 15, the name of the 9th race.
The Belmont Stakes is next Saturday, and of course, it's not going to be run at Belmont Park. That's under renovation. It's going to be run at Saratoga, and our full-time announcer, Frank Miramati, is going to be calling the races there. But that presented a dilemma for the management team here, right? Because we run races next weekend, of course, but also Frank is the full-time announcer at Saratoga as well. So the decision was made, and it was an easy decision to call in the substitute announcer that has also filled in for the likes of Chick Anderson, Dave Johnson, Trevor Denman, and of course, Frank Miramati, whenever they're traveling or perhaps out ill. His name, Alan Buckdoll. Alan, happy Sunday. Welcome to the seminar.
Good to see you again. Thank you,
It's great
Tom.
to have you back on the seminar. It's been quite some time now. We're all excited to have you back up on the microphone next week, and you must be equally excited as well.
I'm very excited. You know, as I said in the stable notes, it truly is a privilege to be announcing at Santa Anita, where I began in 1974.
Now, that's hard to believe, but we've actually got proof of that as well, Alan. Back in 1982, you called the Oak Tree Invitational. None other than John Henry was running in the race. Let's walk down memory lane and watch John Henry win the Oak Tree Invitational with Alan Buckdoll calling the race.
The flag is up. They're off. Lem High Gold breaks right in front. Then it's Cralius on the rail in second. My Pond follows third with Regal Berto. Pellerin, then it's Buchanet and John Henry on the outside. Coming around the turn, Lem High Gold has the lead by a half length, with Regal Berto on the outside pressing the early pace in second by 1. Then it's Cralius in third, and John Henry between horses fourth. My Pawn is fifth on the outside, Pellerin sixth on the rail, and Buchanet. In the stretch for the first time, Lem High Gold in front by 1 length. Regal Berto on the outside in second, a length and a half, followed by Cralius in third by 1, and John Henry fourth on the outside. Buchanet is into fifth. My Pawn sixth, and Pellerin trails. Stride for stride as they race for the clubhouse turn. Lem High Gold on the rail, Regal Berto on the outside by 2.5. Then it's Cralius following in third by a half length, and John Henry on the outside is fourth. Buchanet fifth. Pellerin on the rail sixth, and My Pawn on the outside seventh. Lem High Gold opens the lead once again to a half length. Regal Berto up on the outside second. John Henry is closer in third by a head. Cralius on the rail now takes over third by 2. Then it's back to Buchanet, Pellerin, and finally My Pawn as they tighten up on the lead. Cralius from along the rail in front by 1 length. John Henry sweeps up on the outside, Lem High Gold and Regal Berto between horses. Then it's Buchanet on the rail, back to My Pawn, and Pellerin trails. Coming around the far turn, Cralius in front by a half length. John Henry is closest by 2 lengths. Regal Berto follows in third by a neck. Lem High Gold is back to fourth. Then Buchanet, My Pawn, and Pellerin as they turn for home. Cralius is the leader, and John Henry is coming at him on the outside by 2.5 lengths. Regal Berto is third, and Lem High Gold is fourth. Now it's Cralius and John Henry, stride for stride. John Henry on the outside. It's John Henry, 3 in a row in the Oak Tree Invitational, just drawing away.
Alan, time flies when you're having fun. Hard to believe that was 42 years ago. Does that even seem possible?
Well, it seems possible, but nevertheless, you know, it's a great memory. And here's my other great memory about John Henry. He was such a smart horse. There were mornings when I went back to the McAnally stable. John was being cooled out, walked around at the barn. I was talking to Ron or Eduardo Inda. I mean, this is true. He would perk up, he would look around, he would listen. He thought it was time to race. I believe it. John Henry and affirmed 2 of the smartest animals I have ever been around.
I think he might have recognized your voice, right? He heard you out on the racetrack. Who knows?
That's my sense. You know, this was such a competitive thoroughbred. It could have been.
Now, we could spend all day reminiscing, but you and I like to live in the current situation.
Right.
And of course, right now, racing has gone a fundamental change since 42 years ago. Many different track announcers. You're home watching the races on a regular basis. Give us your analysis of the current crop of racetrack announcers around the country.
Bottom line, to me, in my memory, and I've been a fan since the age of 10, Overall, this is the greatest crop of track announcers in American history. And I truly mean that. I have the utmost respect for so many announcers, with Mr. Frank Miramati at or near the top always in my American track announcer best of list.
That's high praise, Alan. Let's talk about maybe some of the secondary contenders as well. Who's impressed you?
Honestly, Tom, so many of them, but let me just rattle off a few names. And truly, if this is my top 5, it could change next week. Trevor Denman, John G. Dooley, Kurt Becker, and a gentleman that I met at the Breeders' Cup. Couldn't have been nicer. I have the ultimate respect for what he's able to do day in and day out, Mr. Pete Aiello. Right now, just now, that is my current top 5.
What makes a good track announcer? Obviously, those of us who are horse players have our various opinions. In your estimation, what makes an excellent race caller?
This is a very hard job, and I'm going to be reminded of that on Friday. It takes a tremendous amount of concentration. If you think there's somebody standing next to you helping out or somebody whispering in your ear, no, you are by yourself and alone in that announcer's booth from race 1 to race 9. So I just admire the discipline and the fact that these top announcers, and there are 10 or 20 of them in this country right now, are so very well prepared going in. You know, Tom, I get the sense that there's a friendly rivalry, a friendly competition amongst the great announcers, that they're listening on one of the networks and, oh, he called a great race, I've got to step up my game for the next race. That's exactly what great sports announcers do.
And it's also true in team sports as well. With quarterbacks in the NFL, you want to have a star quarterback, but you also need a backup quarterback as well. And that rivalry that they have within the team certainly creates better quarterbacks all the way around the NFL. Quick question for you, Alan, and that would be, do you have any nerves coming into next Friday? I mean, you've been doing this a long, long time, but like you said, you know, there's only one San Diego, there's only one great race place. How do you kind of shake off the nerves? Because you're probably human. You got to have a little bit of butterflies walking into the booth.
Well, the best way that I can say it is just through a certain sense of discipline and the opportunity to practice a little bit. Do I feel slightly on edge going in? Yeah, I feel slightly on edge because, you know, I haven't done this in 2 years, and consistently I haven't done this in decades. I'm going to do my best. As I said a minute ago, it really is all about preparation. So if I can prepare well, and, you know, that'll include today, I'll be up in a booth near Frank's booth practicing to myself, then I'll be okay. I'll do my best, and I'll try to improve race in and race out.
He's got close to a half century of experience calling races. It's going to be great to welcome Alan Buckdoll back to the booth next week. And as Frank calls the races at Saratoga, we're also going to find out who Alan likes on today's 8-race card, including a pick 6 carryover that starts in race number 3 with an amount of $63,000. But before we do any of that, let's toss the microphone over to Frank Miramati and get the early changes on today's card here at the Great Race Place.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the Great Race Place. The track is fast and the turf course is firm. Here are the early changes. In the first race, beginning of the early pick 5, number 1 Pace Lane carries 1 pound over, and scratch number 3 Matters. Note that the rail on the turf is out 10 feet for today's action. Race 2, scratch number 5, Bella Ranella. And with that scratch, there's no show wagering, and Santa Anita Park oddsmaker John White has issued a revised morning line. The third is the start of the $1 pick 6. Big news in the pick 6. Nobody hit it yesterday, which means $63,000 already in the pool. It's a carryover of $63,000 into the pick 6. $1 wager starting with race 3. The fourth starts the late pick 5 and the $3 all-turf pick 3. There are no changes in the fourth. No scratches or jockey changes in race number 5. 6th race, Art Wilson's Memorial Day at the Races. Number 3, Charm Your World, 2 pounds over. 4, Mocha Grande, 1 pound over. The 7th is the Desert Stormer, no super high 5 due to the scratcher number 7, Princess of Time. The Golden Hour pick 4 starts with race 7. In the 8th, number 2, Lovely Idaho, 1 pound over. Scratch number 3, Shoot for the Sky. One moment on that. Let me confirm. Yes, scratch number 3, Shoot for the Sky. And number 10, Spicy Ride, 2 pounds over. Those are the changes on today's card. Remember that on Saturdays and Sundays, we offer the Coast to Coast Pick 5, combining races from Santa Anita Park and Gulfstream Park. It's a low 15% takeout with a $1 minimum wager. It starts today with Gulfstream's 8th, another great payoff yesterday. There have been some extraordinary payouts in the Coast to Coast Pick 5. $1 minimum wager, low 15% takeout every Saturday and Sunday. Post time for the opener in 57 minutes at 1 p.m. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner. Tom's special guest on the seminar is Alan Buckdoll, former voice of Oak Tree and Hollywood Park.
Welcome back. We're talking horse with Alan Buckdoll. He's been the substitute announcer here at the Great Race Place for the last 50 years. He's filled in for legendary announcers like Chick Anderson, Dave Johnson, Trevor Denman, and of course Frank Miramati, who will be on assignment at Saratoga this upcoming week for the Belmont Stakes. Alan, a question for you before we take a look at today's card. Of course, I gave you a homework assignment to handicap today's 8-race card. When you call from the booth, how much handicapping, if at all, do you do in preparation for calling the race? A lot, a little, none at all? What do you do prior to each race?
I would say I do a moderate amount of work. I've certainly looked over all of the past performances going into every race. I'm aware of potential speed, but, I never have a preconceived notion going into a race. I also look for interesting facts that I might incorporate into a call if a horse is about to win 3 in a row, for instance.
Alan, you talked about earlier about how difficult calling a race can be. And of course, those of us, 99% of the population, could never do it. In your estimation, what's the toughest part of being a track announcer?
The toughest part is the discipline required. And I would almost equate it to being an athlete. You might be a good, as you said, quarterback, but if you haven't played quarterback for a while, you've got to work yourself back into shape. So mentally, and in terms of, as I mentioned before, hey, you're in there and you're the only person doing this job. It takes a while to kind of get that mental muscle memory back. That's the toughest part.
And there's no second takes. It's live TV, and I'm sure you beat yourself up. Every announcer beats themselves up because there's something that you might know is a mistake that 99% of the people listening wouldn't even realize is a mistake.
That's where I said before, the announcers in America today, and they're far more than 5. They're 10, they're 15, they're 20. Ultimate respect for their preparation going in. That's what it's all about.
Well, you've prepared for this seminar by looking at all eight races today, Alan. So let's kick things off in race number 1, which begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. This race is 1 mile on the turf course for maiden claiming fillies and mares in for a $50,000 tag. The turf rails today are at 10 feet. There is one scratch. Scratch the 3 matters. Leaves us with a field of 5. The current betting choice at even money is number 2, Catonia from the Phil D'Amato barn, who is going from sprint to route. Before we get your thoughts on the race, there's 3 runners in this field that ran in a common race last time out, and that race was back on May 4th. Number 1, Pace Lane, as well as the 2 outside runners, OK Rose and Starlight Harbor, all exit this race that we're about to watch the replay for. OK Rose kind of is mid-pack when we watch the replay. Pace Lane is setting the pace, ironically, well-named thoroughbred, going 1 mile on the turf course, setting a quarter-mile fraction early on of less than 23 seconds, indicating that he had to battle for the early lead. So they'll be easy to follow. Pace Lane on the lead, OK Rose mid-pack. You be the judge of who might have had the better trip. Let's listen to Frank Miramati describe the action back on May 4th.
Renegade. And they're off. OK Rose in the center of the course has some speed. Pace Lane, Sky Sailing down on the inside. No Time for Squalls. On the far outside, Ellie Moore in the gray is Toulouse de Trac. OK Rose now settles toward the back of the field. Starlit Harbor is next, followed by Orderly Transition. The 2 trailers are Miss Will and Discrepancy. Around the first turn, less than 6 furlongs to go. Pace Lane is the leader, has it a half length to an eager Ellie Moore pressing the issue in second. Then it's No Time for Squalls. Sky Sailing in between horses, Toulouse de Trac outside of them. At the rail, a hard-held Starlit Harbor is right next to OK Rose in the pink. Discrepancy begins a bit on the outside, Orderly Transition, and Miss Will. They have less than a half mile to go, and it's Pace Lane leading the way a length and a half to Ellie Moore second. At the rail, No Time for Squalls in third. Sky Sailing is next. Toulouse de Trac on the outside. At the rail, Starlit Harbor has 5 lengths to make up. OK Rose is next, joined by Discrepancy. At the back, Miss Will and Orderly Transition, a quarter of a mile to go, and it's Pace Lane leading by 2 in hand at this stage. At the rail, No Time for Squalls has plenty of room to get through. These 2 arrive at the 8th pole, 1-2. Pace Lane, No Time for Squalls. No Time for Squalls squeezes through and takes over, coming to the 16th pole. Pace Lane trying hard, but it is No Time for Squalls, and Tyler Mays, No Time for Squalls, wins it by 2.5.
Alan, OK Rose, a decent third. First effort in May off a December layoff. Had to squeeze between rivals mid-stretch. Now maybe that might be the tightener. I know that you like her on top today.
That's my lean. As you say, second start off a layoff. Juan got acquainted with her on May 4th. Perhaps we'll be asked for more early speed. Catonia, my second choice.
And Pace Lane and Catonia could set it up for OK Rose. Certainly, they both have a lot of early speed. We'll see who can win the battle and if they maybe wind up winning the war. Let's turn the page, Alan. Take a look at race number 2. Begins the 50-cent early pick four. We're sprinting 6 furlongs in the main track for fillies and mares in for a $10,000 tag. The original morning line favorite, number 5, Bella Ranella, has been declared out of the race. Now the revised morning line favorite at 4-5 is number 3, Dancing Dana from the Craig Lewis barn. Field of 4 here. Who do you like and why?
Well, I went with Tapadu. Seems to be long overdue for a win. Drops in for 10. Maybe there's enough speed in this race, although, as you said, Bella Ranella is out. For Tapadu to rally, second choice then would be Dancing Dana.
From a handicapping standpoint, I don't know how much you play the races on a regular basis, Alan, but how important are jockeys to you? Let's just kind of consider them either passengers or pilots. Is the jockey assignment critical before you'll make a wager on a horse?
It matters. You know, I'd much rather be involved with a jockey that's on a hot streak or that I feel comfortable with. And, you know, it matters. It's certainly not an overriding factor. Tom, for me, my keys are looking at the horses before the race. Now, obviously, you don't get a chance to do that on multi-leg wagers, but that's important to me. I really do have a sense of and a feel for, you know, how a horse is looking and acting before a race. That, along with what I feel the wagering is trending towards.
Let's explore that concept for a moment, because I think most people don't understand or know how to look at a horse. What are some of the things you're looking for, the attributes that a horse might be displaying, either positively or negatively, that might sway your opinion?
I'm going to answer that just basically, and it simply has to do with looking at thoroughbreds at the racetrack primarily, and now on television for, all of these many years. However, you can pick up a lot of good information from the television commentators. And again, like the announcers, there are some brilliant commentators on TV these days. So I listen to what certain people are saying. There's a lot of things, but, ultimately just pay attention, look at them in the walking ring and as they warm up and, oh, that horse looked that way and it won the race by 5 lengths. You'll get a feel.
Practice makes perfect, that's
right.
for sure. And some things you want to, that are kind of common knowledge. Alert pricked ears would be one thing, perhaps showing that the horse is focused. Washed out kidney sweats would be considered a negative if the horse primarily hasn't done that before. And it's not a warm day, but there are different attributes you can look at. And you're right, San Anita is blessed with many talented horsemen and horsewomen who have lived at the racetrack basically their entire life, including Michelle Yu, Zoe Cadman, Millie Ball. The list is endless. Jessica Pfeiffer, a new addition to the team as well. So certainly San Anita is blessed with that type of commentary that you were describing, Alan.
No doubt.
Race number 3 begins in $1 pick 6. This is when the fireworks begins, because on today's 8-race card, this is where the pick 6 carryover comes into play. $63,000 is the carryover. And we kick things off going 1 mile on the main track. For fillies and mares, allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 1 other than. We kick it off with a field of 6. Number 2, Lisa's No-No from the Mark Latt barn is the 9-5 morning line favorite. Once again, Alan, before we get your thoughts on the race, let's watch a replay. This replay involves both number 1, Fayette Fox, and number 2, Lisa's No-No. They're drawn next to each other in today's field. In this replay that we're about to watch, they also were drawn next to each other, breaking from post positions number 2 and 3. You'll see Lisa's No-No tried very, very hard all the way to the wire. Fayette Fox led for most of the race, both excellent efforts. Let's see if we can watch the replay and maybe decipher a winner in today's 3rd race by listening to Frank Mirmati describe the action back on April 26th.
And they're off. Gila and Fayette Fox will vie for the early lead. Zerat behind them with Lisa's No-No, Indy Star, and Sugarfish. They move into the first turn, and the lead belongs to Fayette Fox, in front by 1.5 lengths. As Lisa's No-No moves between rivals to take second, Gila third, 1.5 lengths off the lead. Then it's Indy Star with Sugarfish in 5th, and 2 more to Zerat. Onto the backstretch, Fayette Fox, 1.5 lengths. Lisa's No-No races in 2nd, and then Gila in the clear while 3rd. At the rail, Indy Star inching closer in 4th, 2.5 off the pacemaker. Sugarfish is comfortable, but in between rivals, and another 3 to Zerat. They have a half mile to run. Fayette Fox to catch, 3/4 of a length to Lisa's No-No in 2nd. Then Sugarfish in between horses. Indy Star is down at the rail. Gila outside of them. Nothing yet from Zerat. Less than 3/8 to travel. It's Fayette Fox, pressed by Lisa's No-No. Sugarfish emerges out of that pack to be a clear-cut 3rd. Then Indy Star and Gila, 1/4 mile to go. Lisa's No-No and Fayette Fox right together. Sugarfish angles out with the orange colors and is starting to close some ground in 3rd. They're in the final furlong, and Sugarfish gaining momentum steadily on the top pair. Lisa's No-No, Sugarfish right to her. Sugarfish, Lisa's No-No come for the wire together. It's going to be close. Here is the line. Sugarfish got there. Barely.
Alan, we watched the replay. I know you like Fayette Fox on top today. Tell us why.
3rd time off a layoff. This was a $62,500 claim by Vlado, February of 23. I'm hoping for speed from that rail for the daughter of Sharp Azteca, fast horse.
We also see secondarily you like number 6, Diamonds Danzen, who is going from a sprint to a route in for the tag because she broke this condition. What do you like about her?
Consistent recent buyers in the money, 12 of 18 lifetime, leading earner in the field at 228 grand.
Alan, we heard who your top 5 or 10 announcers are. Another question for you all time. Who's maybe your top 3, 4, 5 jockeys all time that you've seen ride?
Almost an impossible question to answer. Listen, it really is. I'm going to dodge the question by saying this. Among my favorite interviews ever, and I did so much TV back in the day, Lafitte Pinkai Jr. and Willie Shue.
How could you not?
Great interviews.
And of course, there's other fabulous jockeys who rode here throughout their career. Eddie Delahousie comes to mind, Chris McCarron. They're certainly at the top of most everybody's list, but we were blessed with a great colony for many of the years when you called here, including the Oak Tree meet for 8 years.
Well, I mean, the names would just, ramble on and on. My goodness, even Sandy Hawley was here, McCarron. But let's put it this way, as with all athletes, improvement. And what an amazing colony we have right now at Santa Anita.
And you were also the announcer at Hollywood Park for a while, Alan. Now it's SoFi Stadium. Have you taken the plunge and gone over to see a football game or anything at SoFi Stadium?
I did take a tour of SoFi Stadium, which was very enjoyable. I'm well aware of everything to do with Hollywood Park. And hey, it's a beautiful stadium. They did a fabulous job on it. There's some memory of Hollywood Park there. There's some commemoration and so forth. So that's great.
As I like to say, don't be sad that it's over. Be glad that you were a part of it.
No, for sure.
Race number 4 begins the 50-cent late pick 5, also the $3 all turf pick 3. And we kick those 2 wagers off sprinting 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course. This is a starter optional claiming race, and we've got a field of 6. The only 3-year-old in the field who's also a first-time gelding is number 5, Louis Beret from the Phil D'Amato barn. 5-2 on the morning line. Vegas Burner also 2-1. John White's kind of got 3 horses almost tied from a morning line standpoint, indicating it's going to be tough to identify the favorite. Talk to us about race 4, Alan.
I'm just going to gamble on the mystery French D'Amato runner, and that is Louis Beret. The works look good. Power ownership group here with Queen's Code. My second choice, consistent in the money start, third start off a layoff, shows career form back to 21 with this lightly raced horse. So every race counts for a horse like Queen's Code when they have a spotty record, as this one simply does. So I'm going with 5-6 as my top 2.
Al, another question for you. This one's easy. I always marvel at track announcers who are able to easily remember a horse's name based upon the jockey silks and then immediately flush that out of their mind and memorize another 8 or 10 more, perhaps with identical silks. How are you guys able to accomplish that? Because that's not a common trait.
Well, you just have to put that race out of your mind. It's done, and you can't do anything to, go back to it. So it's time for the next race. And for me, I start looking immediately at the program for the next race. I've forgotten about the previous race.
We've seen many track announcers use crayons to basically coordinate the color on their program with the color of the jockey silks. Do you have a box of crayons in the announcer's booth?
Dave Johnson was one of the most influential people in my life, one of the greatest guys I've ever known. Now, Dave, that is how he memorizes horses. Other announcers do the same, and that's terrific. Whatever works, works. But Tom, for me, it's just this. A red flare pen.
What do you do with the red flare pen? Do you circle?
I mark the changes and so forth. If there's a little note, I might write it down.
Fair enough. Everyone is unique, that's for sure.
You bet,
but the end of the game is everyone is very talented. And as an industry, we're blessed to have each and every one of them
absolutely
call the races for our enjoyment. Race number 5 begins the 50-cent late pick 4. We're traveling 1 mile on the main track for Calbred allowance optional claiming types. Non-winners of 1 other than. We've got a field of 7. Number 1, Dick Best from the Lee Baraccio barn, ridden by Kyle Frey as the 3-1 morning line favorite. Another tough race in the sequence. Give us some insight on the race, Alan.
3, Catman Sue, a lightly raced 3-year-old. He stretches out, $100,000 OBS purchase. He gets a nice break in the weights. Dark Marcus, number 5, the second choice. Why? I always look to horses that have won by daylight, and he won by 14 lengths in a light bulb on play.
3 and 5 in race number 5. Another question for you, Alan, another easy one also. How much time did you spend on the backside when you were here full time? I asked that because you told us earlier on in the interview that you went to go see John Henry and Ron McAnally and his assistant Eduardo Inda. I know you also did a lot of TV work. Did you spend a lot of time on the backside, and did you find that maybe some of those glimpses of information or nuggets that you got helped you as a track announcer?
I spent a tremendous amount of time on the backside, and quite frankly, I miss going back there. I mean, I just don't now. I used to be the morning workouts announcer. I did the tram tours, many television shows, so I really miss it. What I picked up on was what I've always known and what I always feel and say to everyone. utmost and complete respect for the individuals that are involved with these great animals. And of course, the same for the great animals always. And that's in my heart.
It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job
Right.
for the people on the backside. And the amount of love that they exhibit toward the animals would blow most casual observers away. Let's face it, most horse players aren't as lucky or as fortunate to spend the time on the backside that we have. But it's a beautiful thing to go back there and see what type of care the horses are given.
You bet.
Race number 6, we are traveling 6 furlongs in the turf course. This race is named in honor of the Art Wilson's Memorial Day at the races, longtime turf rider for the Southern California News Group. And this is for fillies and mares, allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of one other than. A good field of 9, numbered 7, Just Nails, who just missed last time out for trainer Doug O'Neill, is the lukewarm 3-1 morning line favorite. Another good race. We need some help here, Alan. Who's it going to be?
You're one of only 2 people that know I turned in all of my picks to you this morning at 7:50 in the morning. Now, I like to listen to the local horse racing radio show, which begins at 8. Here's the thing. Ike, Terrell, Mazursky, all selected the same best bet as my best bet, and that is Just Nails. But I turned mine in at 7:50, Tom.
You weren't copying your homework.
No, that's right.
You were the ringleader, so to speak. Maybe they copied your homework, but we've talked a lot about being blessed with dedicated individuals within the sport itself. And you're right, the entertainment that those guys provide on all the radio shows here locally is certainly in an attempt to try and have people cash some tickets and become better handicappers.
You bet, for sure.
Race number 7 is our feature race on today's card. It's the Desert Stormer Stakes. It's for fillies and mares traveling 6 furlongs on the main track. It also begins the $1 Golden Hour Pick 4, linking our last 2 races here with the last 2 races at Golden Gate. Originally a field of 7, but number 7 did scratch, so we're down to a field of 6. And number 6, the importer from South America, now trained by Bob Baffert, is the 2-1 morning line favorite. Ricci is the name. We haven't seen him stateside, so one of the things we're going to do is, courtesy of our friends at xbtv.com, take a look at a morning workout for number 6, Ricci. This workout was back on May 20th. If you have the racing form in front of you, you can see this was a 5 furlong work from the gate. Ricci is on the outside. Tahoe Sunrise is down on the inside. Tahoe Sunrise ran yesterday in the Triple Bend Stakes. He's a male. Ricci is a female. This was a bullet drill, but you can see early on the exercise rider kind of down on his belly, asking her for a lot of early speed. She's acclimating to racing here, not only in North America, but also in Southern California, where early speed is such an asset. You can see she's got a tremendous lifetime record up to this point. 9 career starts, 8 times in the money. She's always well fancied at the window as well. Now, Juan Hernandez is going to be in the saddle this afternoon. I'm not sure if you saw this workup, but I do know that Ricci is your top selection in the race. What was it about her, Alan, that you like best?
This is the only race where I changed my mind before submitting my selections. That's generally not a good thing to do, but I landed on this Grade 1 winner from Chile with 6 wins and 9 starts in the U.S. debut. I made Tom's Regret second choice, for a combination of reasons. Kyle Frey is riding Tom's Regret, very consistent Calbred. The other horse that I originally had in my top 2 was Chismosa, and she's got a fabulous chance as well.
Alan, here's a question I should have asked you at the beginning of the seminar, and it just popped in my mind right now. Speaking of live TV, where did your passion for horse racing come from? In other words, as a young man, you got involved in our industry. Did your parents introduce you to the game? Did you stumble into it with your friends? Where did the passion originally begin?
I tell you what, there are countless people who've said the same thing to me, and we all have the same story. A parent or parents brought us to the racetrack at a very young age. Now, I'm sure I was here when I was, a toddler, but really my first, hey, I'm a fan of racing would have been at about age 10. And I remember saying at the time, hey, I want to be a race caller. So it is what it is. It's what any sport is. It is your family that ordinarily, a friend or guardian that bring you to the races. Hey, come out. It's just amazing.
And who would know that it would basically morph into your entire lifetime? And
well, I mean, here's the thing, Tom. People do different things in their lives. They have different careers, different experiences. But sometimes you think, well, in my heart of hearts, I'll always think of myself as. I haven't been a track announcer really in decades. But the truth is, in my heart of hearts, I'll always think of myself as a track announcer. I've done other stuff, but hey, man, this is what I always wanted to do, and I'm just grateful that I got that chance.
And you'll always be a fabric of the San Diego team, that's for sure. I mentioned Oak Tree, and you were the announcer there for 8 years. What are your memories of Oak Tree? Of course, Chile was instrumental in having Oak Tree here during the month of October, is what I remember. Some great racing prior to the Breeders' Cup. What are 1 or 2 memories you have of Oak Tree, Alan?
I have many memories, but that time of year, I mean, right now, that time of year is just fabulous. You know, it has to do with leading up to the Breeders' Cup.
Correct.
So I love those big prep races that we have here at Santa Anita before the Breeders' Cup.
Race number 8 closes out the day and closes out the weekend. Race number 8, we're traveling 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course for maiden special weight Calbred fillies and mares. Also, race 8 offers $5 golden hour daily double wagering. One scratch the 3, shoot for the sky. Leaves us with a field of 10. Number 4, Moonlight Tryst, the second-time career starter, but also the first time on turf, is the 5-2 Maury line favorite. 10 different ways you could go here, Alan. Which way are you going and why?
David Hoffman's is a very good man.
Breeders' Cup Classic winner.
Well, and he is. That's right. Now, is Breeders' Cup Classic? Let's get that straight. Yes, he is.
Yes,
Alphabet Soup, you bet. And another one, the downhill turf course here at Santa Anita.
Yes, ridden by Richard Migliore.
That would have been more recently, surely. So anyway, I did land on the 4 Moonlight Tryst. Good try first out for this 4-year-old. Barrios is back up. Solid breedings, solid connections. And Tom, as you know, John Sadler was the able assistant to David Hoffman's so many years ago. In fact, lastly, I remember when they brought Seattle Slew into Hollywood Park, and Dave and John said, come on in, take your picture with Seattle Slew, have a look at the great champion.
Certainly, Dave has groomed John Sadler to be a successful trainer. Your second pick, number 9, Sassy Prancelot, trained by Phil D'Amato. His mentor was Mike Mitchell. Remember Mike when Phil was an assistant for him. What do you like about Sassy Prancelot coming off the September layoff?
And the late Mike, you know, such a fabulous and faithful man and a great, great trainer as well. So anyway, that 9 horse was well bet first time out. Right. A solid work pattern for his return in the second start since September of 23. Yeah, connections again, D'Amato and Fresu.
I'm not sure where the 40 minutes went, Alan, but it's been an absolute treat walking down memory lane, as well as talking about some of your favorite announcers, horses, jockeys, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to welcome you with open arms come this Friday. We're going to, by the way, have 9 races with a first post of 1 p.m. this coming Friday. Should be a great weekend and want to wish you nothing but the best. You always represent Santa Anita extremely well, Alan.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks to all of you for watching as well. One more bet to remind you of, the $1 coast-to-coast pick 5, linking races both from here and our sister track, Gulfstream Park. Did you see the payout yesterday? In excess of $10,000 for a $1 minimum wager with a low 15% takeout. Today's sequence begins with Gulfstream Park, race number 8. Post time for that race, 1:25 p.m. Pacific time. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great afternoon and good luck.